As we start with ACC predictions in 2023, your first team up are the Florida State Seminoles, and a lot of people very, very high, myself included, on this Florida State team, with Mike Norvell coming in, a big year for Florida State last year, and all the talent in the world on this team. One of the favorites to win the ACC, and also a sneaky contender to get into the college football playoff. Can Florida State reach the playoff for the first time since 2014? Or will this Seminole team start to fall back down to earth after a big year last season? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting each and every one of the 133 college football FBS level teams this summer, which means I'm doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. But there are more ways than that you can help me support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video. You can do more by liking, commenting, subscribing, and doing anything else to help support my channel. Whatever you guys are able to do would mean a lot to me. Share the video with friends and family. ACC predictions are done. Our Big 12 predictions, I should say, are done. Our final Power 5 conference is the ACC, and we're starting it off with the slight betting favorite, the Florida State Seminoles. How do preview predictions work on my channel? We go through a roster overview, look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in by way of the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Florida State Seminole football schedule and giving it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I give you the Florida State Seminoles here in 2023. Looking at the quarterback position here, well, you got a Heisman frontrunner, or one of, I should say, the betting Heisman frontrunners in the nation right now, in Jordan Travis, coming back at quarterback. Had 3,214 yards, 24 touchdowns to 5 interceptions last year. Definitely can throw for a lot more touchdowns than he did last year. Had 64% completion percentage while doing so as well. Not necessarily a huge runner, but had 5.1 yards per carry last year. 417 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. Is a dual threat quarterback, and a really good one at that for Florida State this year. When Jordan Travis is on, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation. You also do have your backup in Tate Rodemaker coming back. So if anything were to happen to Jordan Travis, you have Rodemaker there. But for Jordan Travis, I mean, hey, definitely a Heisman contender there with Jordan Travis, and he's got a lot of pieces to work with on this offensive side when we take a look at the running back and wide receiver position. Now, running back position, you do lose Trayshawn Ward from last year. Was your second leading rusher, had 628 yards and 7 touchdowns. Believe he went over to Kansas State. But you get a lot of nice talent coming back. As your leading rusher, Trey Benson, who was this close to rushing for 1,000 yards last year, comes back, 990 yards and 9 touchdowns last season. Lawrence Tauafili comes back, as well as Rodney Hill. Should be some very solid options in the running back room for Florida State this year, as they were last season. Now, in the wide receiver room, there are some pretty good pieces that leave this wide receiver room. Ontaria, or Pookie Wilson, was your team's second leading receiver. He is gone. 495 yards and 4 touchdowns. Micah Pittman is gone as well, had 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Malik McClain, 206 yards and 3 touchdowns. He is gone. But what this Florida State wide receiver room has is a lot of size. I don't think there's someone in this Florida State wide receiver room that's under 6'1", maybe even under 6'2". As Johnny Wilson was the team's leading receiver, he comes back, 893 yards and 5 touchdowns for him. Kentron Poiter comes back, as well as Ja'Kai Douglas. Some really, really good piece in the wide receiver room there, as well as getting a big name transfer, huge transfer, coming over by way of Michigan State in Keon Coleman, a high 4-star rated transfer according to 24/7 Sports. He'll be a huge part and a huge help to this wide receiver room this year. And you also get a freshman coming in as well. So Keon Coleman, a big body. Another big body in Key Williams comes in, a 5-star recruit, 4th overall receiver in the class of 2023, 31st overall player according to 24/7 Sports. Tight end room, you lose Cameron McDonald from last year, 312 yards and a touchdown, but you get some really good transfers coming into this program. Jaheim Bell is another huge guy that's going to come over from South Carolina, another big body, very high 4-star rated transfer, and then Kyle Morlock into the system as well. On the offensive line, you're going to lose Dylan Gibbons and Justin Turrentine, but you get a transfer in Jeremiah Byers, and Darius Washington, Maurice Smith, and Robert Scott all come back. This is going to be a very good offense for Florida State in 2023, especially with some of the transfers and freshmen they've added. This is going to be a phenomenal offense, especially if those transfers in the pass catching group live up to standard. Now, defensively for Florida State, what can we expect? Well, off the defensive line, there are some big pieces leaving, most notably Derek McClendon, who is going to be gone. Had 37 tackles, 3.5 sacks last year. Leonard Warner, Robert Cooper, going to be some other names that leave this this defensive line as well, but McClendon, the biggest loss of the two. Of the three, I should say. That being said, Jared Verse is coming back to this defensive line, and Verse is very versatile. 9 sacks last year, 47 tackles. He led the team in sacks. You can play him as a linebacker, as a defensive lineman. You can play him everywhere. He is phenomenal. Patrick Bateman, Dennis Briggs, some other players coming back to the program, but you're also getting a lot of transfers in as well. Braden Fisk comes over by way of Western Michigan. 4-star rated transfer. Gilbert Edmond is coming over as well. 4-star rated transfer from South Carolina. And then Daryl Jackson into this program as well. He's a 4-star rated transfer from Miami. So a lot of high-profile transfers coming over for Florida State in the defensive line room. In the linebacker room, you do lose Amari Gaynor. That's a fairly substantial loss from last season. Had 17 tackles and a sack for the team last year. But Tatum Bethune, who was the team's second leading tackler, comes back. Kalen DeLoach and DJ Lundy, who were all top 6 tacklers for this team, they come back. Bethune and Loach each had 3 sacks last year. And DeLoach 7 passes defended that led the team last season. In the defensive back room, you do lose Jamie Robinson. That's a big loss, was your leading tackler, did have an interception last year. Brendan Gant and Omarion Cooper are some other names that are leaving. But Renardo Green, Akeem Dent, Greedy Vance, Jarian Jones, very good pieces in the secondary, along with some more returners, Shaheem Brown and Kevin Knowles, as well as a phenomenal transfer coming into this program. Very high 4-star in Fentrell Cypress from Virginia. This is a very scary Florida State team. It's got a lot of good pieces offensively, good pieces defensively, and a very good coaching staff as well. Your head coach is Mike Norvell, offensive coordinator Alex Atkins, and defensive coordinator Adam Fuller. As we take a look at the Seminoles schedule for 2023, and there are some doozies on this schedule. Hey, any game that's going to be underlined is any game that Florida State has at home, and any game in italics or the slanted text, the Seminoles will play on the road, and the neutral site games are listed accordingly. Any game in green is a game I see the Seminoles being able to win easily. Any game in yellow is the other team will put up a fight, but the Seminoles will be able to win, and red is a loss. The game of the year, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other college football fans' opinions as well, comes week 1 against LSU in Orlando. It's going to be a bumping environment. This was a very fun game last season. It did not get the hype it deserves. It gets the hype it deserves. This year, it's going to be a top 10 matchup, game of the year. Lots of implications for the playoff early on in the season. That is going to be a game to watch out for. And I like what LSU has. I think with Jaden Daniels, all the pieces they have on offense, they have one of the best defensive players in the entire nation in Harold Perkins at linebacker. LSU is going to be a very, very good football team here, and by no means am I low on what LSU and Brian Kelly has this year. But as you guys will know, I am very high on what Florida State has this year. I think Jordan Travis is excellent. I think he's got a great big body group of pass catchers. That's going to be tough for any secondary to defend this season. I think they have a lot of very good and versatile pieces on defense. And with all the transfers they get coming in as well, Florida State's going to be a very, very scary team. That's going to be a back and forth game, anyone's game to win. But I think Florida State pulls it out in the closing moments in Orlando. They get a win, a huge win, week 1 against LSU. I think especially with Jordan Travis and that big body group of wide receivers, going to be hard for the LSU secondary. Should be able to pick up a win against Southern Miss. Not much trouble there. And then on the road to Boston College, I think can give them a little bit of fits, but Boston College is a team that's losing Phil Jurkovec, some other talent. Now, there are some good pieces there, but coaching staff questions are coming into play. Boston College may be able to give Florida State a good challenge, but I think Florida State going to be able to walk out of there with a win more likely than not. And then you get another very big game up early in the schedule. Again, you don't have to wait for this one, college football fans. Huge playoff implications, ACC implications. Florida State goes on the road to play at Clemson, and Clemson is getting a new offensive coordinator. I think they're going to be very well coached from that aspect. Cade Klubnik is taking over that program. Cade Klubnik is going to be a very, very good piece to what Clemson is going to be able to do this year, if, of course, he can reach his ceiling. There's a lot of talent around him, and we know Clemson is going to have a scary defense they have for the past couple of years, although, again, it started to take a little bit of a downturn, but I think Clemson's going to have some really good offensive play calling. I think they're going to be coached really well offensively. We know the defense is going to be up to standard. I think it's going to be better than it has been in previous years, and that is what will lead Clemson to beat Florida State in the regular season here in Week 4 on the road. Just a tough environment as well. You've played through some really tough games already for Florida State, maybe still a little bit beat up, banged up. This is a huge game that I got Clemson pulling away by this much. And then you get a very early bye week here for Florida State. Perfect opportunity to rest after a very, very tough start to the schedule. And then I have you guys being able to beat both Virginia Tech and Syracuse. Syracuse is returning Garrett Schrader, a lot of other nice pieces, but I still think that's an easy win for the Seminoles. And then Virginia Tech as well. Not a team that you can ever sleep on, but Brent Pry and company, I think, need more time to be able to build that program up. They're losing a lot of nice pieces. I think Florida State will be able to beat them at home. You get your third straight home game here against the Duke Blue Devils. Now, don't count out Duke. Duke is a team this year that could be a huge sleeper in the ACC. They were last year. They were able to go, I believe it was 8-4 was their record last year. And I really can't find anyone notable that leaves that offense. I mean, Riley Leonard comes back. He's got a great group of running backs and pass catchers around him. Duke's got a fairly solid defense there as well. I think Duke's going to play some really good football in 2023. Again, I just do not think they are capable of going on the road here and beating the Florida State Seminoles. Watch out for them, or not necessarily capable. I just think Florida State is more talented. Duke is absolutely capable of going on the road and pulling off this win, but I think Florida State survives. They get that win against Duke to move on to a road game against Wake Forest. That I also think can give them trouble. But again, Florida State, obviously the more talented team. Wake Forest is a team where you lose Sam Hartman, couple other pieces on that offense that were crucial to the Wake Forest Demon Deacons in the past couple of seasons. Defensively, wonder what that team is going to look like as well. I believe second year of a new defensive coordinator, if I am correct in that. But when you take a look at the Wake Forest Demon Deacons this season, losing Sam Hartman is big. I don't know that the quarterback that's there right now is going to be able to fully live up to expectations, or at least fill the shoes of Sam Hartman. And Florida State's going to be really good offensively this year. Good luck to see that Wake Forest defense slow them down. I got Florida State winning that one on the road and beating Pitt on the road as well. Phil Jurkovec coming into that program. A lot of solid pieces offensively, defensively, but especially on the defensive side. There's a lot of key contributors gone that I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with some of the explosive potential of this Florida State offense at all. Now, this is a very interesting game here with the Miami Hurricanes. Miami is a team that gets Tyler Van Dyke back. There are a lot of pieces there with the Miami Hurricanes that can lead them to be a very, very good team this year. They have a new offensive coordinator as well that can help try to ignite Tyler Van Dyke back into what he was a couple of seasons ago. He was excellent. There are a lot of nice pieces around him. But I think at home, Florida State just a little too talented for Miami. I especially think that secondary in Florida State with adding Fentrell Cypress, with all that they return, minus, of course, Jamie Robinson and a couple other pieces, with all that they come back, they got so much talent. I think they'll be able to shut down Tyler Van Dyke and that passing attack. They should be easily able to beat North Alabama. And then I got them beating Florida on the road, too. Now, not going to be an easy game. I think Florida's got a lot of talent to be competitive this year. I'm just not sold on the Florida Gators this year with Graham Mertz at quarterback. I mean, again, it could be Graham Mertz or Jack Miller. There are some transfers leaving that program. Give Billy Napier some more time. Florida will start rising back up. But I'm too high on Florida State to let them lose that game. Look, I am riding the Seminole hype train all the way to the college football playoff. I'll say that right now. I think this is a very, very solid team. They can absolutely make it to the college football playoff. One of, if not the favorites to win the ACC. They got some tough games, but if they can battle through and win probably at least one of LSU or Clemson, you're looking at a playoff contender come championship week. So that's my prediction for the Seminoles. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.